The apparitions of Our Lady of Guadalupe took place in December 1531 on Tepeyac Hill near present-day Mexico City. This occurred during the early colonial period, just 10 years after the Spanish conquest of the Aztec Empire. The indigenous people of the region, who had suffered greatly under Spanish rule, faced cultural and religious upheaval as European influences replaced their traditional ways of life. Against this backdrop, the Virgin Mary appeared to an indigenous man named Juan Diego, an event that would profoundly impact the evangelization of the Americas and shape Mexican identity for centuries. Juan Diego, born Cuautla, was a native Nahua man who had converted to Christianity following the arrival of Spanish missionaries. He was known as a devout and humble man. On the morning of December 9, 1531, he was walking to Mass when he heard a beautiful song that seemed to come from the heavens. As he followed the melody, he encountered a radiant woman on Tepeyac Hill. She was dressed in a robe adorned with stars and a blue-green mantle. She identified herself as the Virgin Mary, the Mother of the true God, and spoke to him in his native Nahuatl language. She requested that a church be built on the hill in her honor, so that she could offer love, protection, and guidance to the people. Juan Diego immediately obeyed her request and went to the residence of Bishop Juan de Zumarraga in Mexico City, a Franciscan missionary and the first bishop of Mexico from Spanish, to deliver her message. However, the bishop was initially skeptical. At the time, claims of divine visions required significant proof, especially from an indigenous convert. The bishop told Juan Diego that he needed a sign to confirm that the apparition was truly from God. Disheartened but determined, Juan Diego returned to Tepeyac Hill, where he saw the Virgin Mary again. She reassured him and promised to provide a miraculous sign. She instructed him to come back the next day, December 10th. When Juan Diego returned, she again told him to be patient, as the bishop would receive proof at the right time. However, on December 11th, Juan Diego could not return to Tepeyac Hill because his uncle, Juan Bernardino, had fallen seriously ill. Concerned for his uncle's life, Juan Diego spent the day searching for a priest to administer the last rites. On the morning of December 12th, as Juan Diego hurried to find a priest, he deliberately took a different route to avoid encountering the Virgin Mary. However, she appeared to him anyway. Gently, she asked why he had not returned the previous day. After he explained his uncle's condition, she comforted him and assured him that his uncle had already been healed. She told him to go to the top of Tepeyac Hill and gather flowers. Juan Diego obeyed, even though it was winter and the terrain was barren. To his astonishment, he found an abundance of fresh Castilian roses growing on the hill. These roses were not native to Mexico and should never have been blooming in December. Carefully, he gathered the flowers in his tilma, a simple cloak made of rough cactus fiber. The Virgin Mary arranged the roses in his tilma and instructed him to take them to the bishop. When Juan Diego arrived at the bishop's residence, he unfolded his tilma, allowing the roses to fall to the ground. At that moment, an extraordinary event occurred. An image of the Virgin Mary miraculously appeared on the fabric. Those present were awestruck by the vivid and detailed depiction of the Virgin, who appeared as a mestiza woman, with indigenous features, wearing a tunic covered in celestial symbols. Recognizing the miracle, the bishop ordered the construction of the requested church on Tepeyac Hill. The tilma bearing the image of Our Lady of Guadalupe was enshrined in the newly built chapel and quickly became an object of veneration. Meanwhile, Juan Diego returned home and found his uncle fully recovered. His uncle, Juan Bernardino, then recounted his own vision of the Virgin Mary, who had appeared to him at the same time, and instructed him to call her Holy Mary of Guadalupe. Some scholars believe that the name was a Spanish approximation of the Nahuatl phrase Coatlaxope, meaning she who crushes the serpent, which could symbolize the Virgin's triumph over pagan beliefs. The devotion to Our Lady of Guadalupe spread rapidly among the indigenous people and Spanish settlers alike. The indigenous population saw her as a compassionate mother who understood their suffering. Her appearance as a mestiza woman, blending Spanish and indigenous features, symbolized unity and reconciliation between cultures. Many indigenous people converted to Christianity as a result of the apparitions, as they perceived her presence as a divine affirmation of their dignity and worth. Several miracles and extraordinary events have been attributed to Our Lady of Guadalupe. In 1785, a worker accidentally spilled nitric acid on the tilma, yet the fabric and image remained intact. In 1921, a bomb hidden in a flower arrangement exploded near the altar where the tilma was displayed, causing severe damage to the church. However, the tilma itself remained unscathed, despite the force of the explosion. Over the centuries, the tilma has been studied extensively. The fabric, made from maguey cactus fibers, should have disintegrated within a few decades, yet it has remained remarkably well preserved for nearly 500 years. Scientific examinations have failed to explain how the colors remain vibrant without any signs of decay. Moreover, unlike traditional painted images, the tilma shows no brushstrokes or evidence of human artistry. The Basilica of Our Lady of Guadalupe, built near the site of the Apparitions, is now one of the most visited Catholic pilgrimage sites in the world, drawing millions of pilgrims annually. The devotion has spread beyond Mexico, with Our Lady of Guadalupe recognized as the patroness of the Americas and the Philippines. In 1746, Pope Benedict XIV officially approved the devotion to Our Lady of Guadalupe. In 1910, Pope Pius X proclaimed her the patroness of Latin America. And in 1945, Pope Pius XII referred to her as the Empress of the Americas. Pope John Paul II canonized Juan Diego, officially recognizing him as a saint. Beyond religious devotion, the image of Our Lady of Guadalupe has played a significant role in shaping Mexican and Latin American identity. During Mexico's War of Independence, revolutionaries carried banners bearing her image as a symbol of unity and liberation. Today, she remains a powerful cultural and spiritual icon, representing faith, resilience, and hope for millions. Especially the tilma, with its miraculous image, stands as a testament to a profound encounter between heaven and earth. The message of love, unity, and maternal care that Our Lady of Guadalupe conveyed to Juan Diego remains relevant today, reminding people of her enduring presence in their lives.